let's begin the process now of building our sofa by just using a primitive to build up the base. Alright, so here we've just got kind of a simple room here, and what I've done is just frozen everything so that we're not able to select anything, and I've also turned off the walls so that they're not visible, so that they don't really get in the way when we're trying to look at our sofa here. So the first thing that we're going to do is go into our top view, and we're going to use a primitive to build out the main shape of the sofa. So here in the creation panel, we can go to geometry and standard primitives, and we're just going to create a tube. So let's go ahead and drag out the size of our sofa. Okay, it's going to be kind of a circular sectional, and then we can drag in the inner radius, okay, for the kind of the depth of it, and then we can give it some height, maybe 6 inches or so. And now let's go ahead and jump over into our perspective view, and we can change some of these creation settings to better suit our needs. Okay, so we've got our tube. We've got a height of about 7 inches. Okay, so we can modify that if we want to. And this is going to be, think of this as kind of the base of the sofa, okay, without the cushions. And what we don't want it to go all the way around, otherwise you'll never be able to get inside there. So what we want is to turn on slice, and let's change some of these settings here. So we can see that we can dial this down to, right now I've got a slice from to at a negative amount, and then I can change this slice to, and you can see how that makes it so it's not completing this circle. It's actually, we want something that's a little bit over 180 degrees, okay? So we can change these settings until we get something that we like. So maybe something like that or so. All right, and I'm going to leave my sides at a fairly high amount. I've got 30 sides in there. You want to leave them fairly high because we're going to be cutting this into sections and then smoothing, and so you want to leave yourself plenty of geometry to work with. All right, so now that we've kind of got this built out, we need to convert this into some sort of an editable state. So let's right click, we'll go to convert to, and let's go ahead and convert it to an editable poly. So now we're able to access all the different sub-objects that make up this object. So we're going to go to the left-hand view, and I don't need any of the geometry now except for the top. Okay, so I'm going to go to polygon sub-object, drag a selection across all the polygons underneath the side there, and delete those. So now what we're left with is simply that top portion. All right. Now the next thing that we want to do is to add an edge loop to define where the backrest is going to come out. So to do this, we'll go to an edge selection, select one of these edges, and under the selection rollout, simply choose ring. Now we'll go down here under edit edges and choose connect. We'll go ahead and open up the settings. Now the default settings here, I've got one segment, so you can see it dropped one segment right in the middle. I can actually move this by moving this slide spinner right here. So you can see if I do go to a negative amount, it's going to go that direction from 0 to 100, and positive, it's going to go this direction from 0 to 100. So I want to place it right about here, wherever the width of the backrest is that you want. We'll go ahead and say OK to that. And the next thing that we want to do is actually detach all of our sections. So let's go ahead and go to a polygon selection, and we'll simply select all the polygons that we want included in each section and detach those. So maybe select these. We'll go down to edit geometry, rollout, say detach, and say OK to that. Okay, and the next one we'll go ahead and select maybe these polygons. Go ahead and detach that, and we'll do the same thing over here. Okay, you can make these any size you want. I'm just kind of roughly making them about the same size, and go ahead and detach that. So now we're left with all of these various sections that we've got with the geometry that kind of matches up there. All right. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is add a little bit of thickness to all of these. So to do this, one of the ways we can do this very quickly is to go up to the modifier list, and we want to add a shell. So we'll go ahead and add a shell modifier here. Okay, and now we can change the inner and outer amount. Okay, if you want to go up, you can see that I'm changing the outer amount. If you want to actually move that down, you can use the inner amount. Okay, and you can change this to, we had something like 6 inches or so. If you want to do that, you can change that to 6. And if you want to, you can change the number of segments here, but I'm going to go ahead and add those manually. Okay, and we can do the same thing over here. We can add the shell. Okay, what we can also do is copy this, and now we can paste it onto here. So we can see we can copy and paste our modifiers. We can also paste the instance modifier. So go ahead and paste that in. Okay, so there we've got some thickness on there. So now let's go ahead and extrude up the backrests. Right, so now you can either convert this to an editable state, or you can add an edit poly modifier above here. I'm just going to go ahead and collapse the stack. Say OK. All right, and now let's go ahead and I'll just show you this with this guy. So we'll select all of these polygons, and now this one I want to have an armrest there. So I'm going to select not only the back polygons but also this polygon here, and we'll go down to edit polygons and extrude that up. Okay, and you can extrude it up however much you want, maybe about a foot or so. And just keep in mind there's going to be a cushion on here, so we might want to go up actually about something a little bit higher there. So I've got maybe 1 foot and 8 inches or so, and say OK to that. All right, and then you just want to go ahead and do the same thing on here. Okay, on all these, you just want to select those polygons, convert this to an editable mesh or an editable poly, and then go ahead and select these polygons in this case, and go ahead and extrude those up, okay, to the same height. And you just want to do that on all of these. So the next thing you want to do, the last thing after you get all of that done, is to go ahead and duplicate these polygons right here, because we want to use these for our actual seat. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and again detach, but this time with one of these settings I'm going to go ahead and detach as a clone. Say OK to that, and now I can go ahead and you can see that I've got this separated out. Okay, so just go through here and extrude up your backrests. Now I would leave this one by itself. Don't put a backrest on this one. Just put a backrest on this last one here and leave this one alone. Actually, we'll go ahead and just do that right now. Just want to kind of move through this so that we take advantage of all the time that we have here. Okay, and edit polygons, we'll go ahead and extrude that up. And we'll just extrude that up to the top. And so there we've got our kind of a backrest. And we've also got the cushions copied out. So we want to do the same thing for the cushions for here, 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 and here. And on this one, you want to copy all of these polygons, not just the back, because this one's not going to have a backrest. Okay, so as we continue on in the next lesson, we'll come in and start adding resolution into some of these frame pieces so that when we smooth these, they'll kind of have a nice tight edge, but they'll be a little bit more realistic. They'll be a little bit smoother in some of the places they need to be. All right, so we'll go ahead and continue in the next lesson.